The planet Pheros was known as the Garden of Eternal Peace. To the eye, it was a masterpiece of biological perfection. The trees didn't just grow, they curved into beautiful arches. The flowers didn't just bloom, they glowed with a soft, pulsing light that matched the heartbeat of anyone who stood near them. But the true power of Pheros was in the air. The Pherosi, a species of slender, translucent-skinned beings, didn't fight with swords or guns. They didn't need to. Their entire civilization was built around the grand bloom. Every plant on the planet was part of a massive chemical network. They produced a specific type of pollen, a microspore that was the ultimate weapon of domestication. When you breathed the air of Pheros, you didn't die. You didn't feel pain. Instead, you felt perfect. The pollen hacked the reward center of the brain, flooding the system with dopamine and serotonin. It erased aggression, deleted fear, and replaced every survival instinct with a single, overwhelming desire to stay in the garden and serve it. For eons, every species that tried to conquer Pheros ended up staying there as gardeners. They would drop their weapons, take off their helmets, and spend the rest of their lives peacefully pruning the trees and singing to the flowers until they died of old age, blissfully happy and completely enslaved. When the Solgov Resource Division identified Pheros as a prime source of vital sap, a liquid that could extend human life by decades, they knew they were walking into a trap. The Pherosi High Elder, Ilara, watched from her throne of living wood as the human ships landed. She had seen this many times before. The humans brought heavy machines and metal armor just like the others. They come with their cold iron and their angry hearts, Ilara whispered to the trees. They think their metal walls can keep out the love of the forest. Let the bloom begin. Let us welcome our new brothers into the peace. The jungle erupted. Billions of flowers opened at once, releasing a thick, shimmering cloud of golden pollen. It rolled over the human landing zone like a beautiful, sweet-smelling fog. To a normal creature, this was a lethal dose of absolute joy. But the humans who stepped off the ships were not normal soldiers. They were the 44th Hazard Breakers, also known as the Smokers. Captain Ash Kowalski led the way. He wasn't wearing a sleek, high-tech environmental suit. He was encased in a positive pressure rig, a bulky, clanking suit of lead-lined canvas and reinforced steel. The suit was designed for the most toxic chemical plants on Earth. It was hot, it was cramped, and it was loud. But the most important part was the bellows. On the back of every human suit was a small, high-heat furnace that burned a mixture of low-grade diesel and sulfur. A constant stream of thick, acrid black smoke was pumped out of the suits, creating a personal cloud of industrial filth around every soldier. Ilara watched in confusion. The golden pollen hit the black smoke and vanished. The heavy, greasy soot of the human machines was so thick that the delicate alien spores couldn't penetrate it. The pollen was being physically blocked by the very pollution the humans carried with them. What is this? Ilara cried out, her mind linked with the forest buzzing with frustration. The air is being poisoned. They carry the stench of the dead world with them. Why do they not breathe the peace? Inside his helmet, Kowalski took a long drag of a thick cigar. The air inside his suit was pressurized so that nothing from the outside could leak in. It was a closed loop of recycled oxygen and his own tobacco smoke. Target sighted, Kowalski's voice came over the radio, sounding like gravel being ground in a blender. The sap grove is 3 clicks north. They're trying to spray us with that glitter dust. Keep the furnaces hot, boys. I don't want to see a single speck of gold on your visors. The hazard breakers advanced. They didn't move with the grace of the Pherosi. They stomped through the flowers, their heavy boots crushing the glowing petals into the mud. Every time a particularly large flower tried to spray them with concentrated pheromones, a human soldier would simply douse it in a blast of chemical defoliant or black oil. The Pherosi wardens, the guardians of the forest, finally attacked. They were fast and elegant, riding on the backs of giant, petal-winged insects. They carried spears made of diamond-hard thorns. They expected the humans to be slow and confused by the forest's beauty. They didn't realize that the humans weren't even looking at the forest. Their visors were tinted to block out the hypnotic bioluminescence, and their ears were filled with the loud, rhythmic thumping of their own air pumps. They are blind to the beauty, a warden screamed as he dove toward Kowalski. They are monsters of metal and soot. Kowalski didn't even look up. He felt a vibration in his suit's external sensors. He swung a heavy, mechanical arm, catching the warden mid-air. The alien was delicate, built for a world of peace. Kowalski's suit was built for a world of mining and industrial accidents. The warden shattered like glass against the human steel forearm. "Get these bugs off me," Kowalski muttered. He activated his suit's soot blast. A massive cloud of concentrated oily smoke erupted from his shoulders, blinding the alien flyers and clogging their delicate breathing pores. The wardens fell from the sky, choking on the smell of a New Jersey industrial park. The Pherosi had spent millions of years perfecting a weapon that targeted the mind and the soul. They had mastered the art of making an enemy want to lose. But they had never met a species like humanity. Humans had spent centuries living in smog-choked cities, working in coal mines and breathing the exhaust of a billion engines. Our bodies were already used to bad air. Our minds were already hardened by the stresses of a chaotic, noisy world. To a human, the grand bloom was just a bad allergy season. "We've reached the sap grove," Kowalski reported. He looked at the massive, glowing tree at the center of the forest. It was a beautiful, ancient thing that pulsed with a soft, golden light. To the Pherosi, it was the mother of their world. To Kowalski, it was a 5,000-gallon tank of high-value life extension fluid. "Start the drills," Kowalski ordered. The humans didn't ask permission. They didn't sing to the tree. They slammed a massive industrial-grade steel tap into the bark. The sound of the drill was a violent, screaming intrusion into the silence of Pheros. The golden sap began to flow, pumped out by a gas-powered engine that spewed more black smoke into the air. Ilara watched from her throne, tears of clear sap running down her face. Her world was being violated by creatures who didn't even care enough to hate her. They were indifferent. They were just working. "Why?" she whispered, her voice reaching Kowalski through a long-range psychic echo. "Why do you choose the smoke? Why do you choose the filth over the peace we offer?" Kowalski paused, looking at the dead, gray soot settling on the beautiful pink flowers around his feet. He adjusted his cigar. "Because the peace is a lie, lady," Kowalski replied, his voice echoing through the external speakers. "You want us to be happy? We'll be happy on our own time. Right now we've got a job to do. And in our world, if you want to survive, you don't breathe the flowers. You build a better filter." The Solga fleet left Pheros a week later, their holds filled with the life-giving sap. The Garden of Eternal Peace was left with a massive black scar in its center, a dead zone where the smoke and oil had poisoned the ground so deeply that nothing perfect would ever grow there again. The Pherosi survived, but their power was broken. They realized that their pheromones only worked on those who were looking for a paradise. Humans weren't looking for a paradise. They were looking for resources. And they were willing to bring their own hell with them to get it. Humanity had proven the ultimate biological HFY truth. You can try to hack our brains with beauty, you can try to drown us in joy, and you can try to seduce us with peace. But we are a species of smoke and iron. We have learned to live in the dirt, and we carry our own environment with us. If you try to change our minds, we'll just change your atmosphere. This has been Apex Sci Fi. Keep your filters clean and your smoke thick. If you enjoyed this industrial victory over the brainwashed planet, hit that like button. Comment below. Would you stay in a perfect, brainwashed paradise, or would you choose the dirty real world? Subscribe for the next conquest of Saga 11, the Concrete Heart. The air is thick. The sap is ours.